Before you get started, set up an area where you're going to take your molds. Put something down that you are not afraid to get dirty, like an old cloth or newspaper. In my case, I'm using a vinyl tablecloth, which is easy to wipe down. If any of the molding mixture gets on fabric, it can be very difficult to get out. Also, make sure to have someone assist you with holding the baby, preferably when the baby is asleep and less likely to wiggle. We found that holding the baby in the shoulder or belly hold positions work best when creating the hand mold, and the forward-facing position works best when making the foot mold. Today, I'm going to show you how to get the best results when making a hand mold. First, measure out the amount of water specified on the package and pour it into the hand mold container. Make sure that the water is lukewarm, as your baby is less likely to pull away if the water is not too cold. Do not use hot water, as it will cause the molding mixture to thicken too quickly and not enough time to mix properly. Start a stopwatch and empty 1 bag of the hand molding powder into the container. Use the whisk provided to mix thoroughly until the powder has dissolved. Stir for 90 seconds. Do not worry if the mixture remains slightly lumpy at the end of the 90 seconds. Once you are done mixing, insert the baby's hand into the container. Make sure it is completely submerged and not touching the sides or bottom of the container, or else you will end up having flat areas on your cast. Hold the baby's hand in place for 3 minutes until the mixture sets. You can test the mixture to see whether it is set by touching it with your finger. If it is firm and does not stick together, then wait an additional 30 seconds to be sure. Gently remove the baby's hand by wiggling it side to side to break the suction as you take it out. Rinse the baby's hand to remove any excess molding material. First, add 1 tablespoon of water to one of the mixing cups provided. Then take 2 tablespoons of casting powder from the bag labeled "Casting Powder for Fingers and Repair" and pour it into the mixing cup, and mix gently for 1 to 2 minutes until completely dissolved. You will want to mix slowly to minimize air bubbles in the mixture, and there should not be any lumps remaining. It should have the consistency of paint. Tilt the container upside down and pipette the mixture into each of the curled fingers. Fill just enough to be able to set the container upside down with a minimal amount of casting mixture leaking back out. Set the container upside down and leave it for 15 minutes. Do not continue to the next step until after the 15 minutes are up, or the casting mixture may pour back out, leaving the finger cavities unfilled. Once the 15 minutes are up, add the specified amount of water on the casting powder bag to one of the mixing cups provided. Empty a bag of casting powder into the cup and mix gently for 1 to 2 minutes until completely dissolved. Then set the mold upright and pour the mixture up to the top of the mold. Tap the bottom of the mold to force any remaining air bubbles to the surface. Then set the mold aside and wait for 1 hour for the mixture to set. Carefully flip the container upside down to slide the mold out and begin peeling the mold away from the statue. Please take your time on this step and be very careful around fingers and toes, as they could be fragile. You can use the detailing pick to remove any remaining mold material. Note, at this point you are done with the mold material and may dispose of it. It's safe to dispose of in the trash and compost bin. However, do not dispose in the sink. Once you have made and demolded all of your casts, if there are any holes or imperfections in them, you may use the remaining casting powder from the bag labeled "Casting Powder for Fingers and Repair" to repair them. Follow the instructions on the bag to get a paint-like mixture. Use one of the provided brushes to paint the mixture into the holes. As the mixture thickens, rub a small amount of the mixture across imperfections. Once the statue is dry, use the provided sandpaper to round off any edges or excess casting stone. After you have finished touch-ups, set the statue aside and let it dry completely for 5 days. Note, any excess solidified casting material can safely be disposed of in the trash bin. If you would like to paint your statue a desired color, apply 2 to 3 thin layers of paint, allowing for 30 minutes in between each layer. Do not move on to step 4 until your casts are completely dry. Otherwise, the moisture will warp the mat board trim behind the glass. Once they are dry and ready, sand the areas of the hand or foot that will be mounted to the frame. Add and spread some of the provided crazy glue to each statue on the sanded area that will be adhered to the backboard. Be sure to not get too close to the edges so that the glue does not press out the sides once adhered. Place the statue, glue side down, onto the marked locations on the backboard. Then push down on it for 30 seconds to ensure it is adhered well. Once mounted, you can put your frame back together and display it anywhere you would like.